Good day, Ira Epstein, and I am back from vacation. It is Monday, and it is the 14th of March 2022. I guess we're getting on now to about 5:50 in the evening. I got into the house near 2 in the morning. I started recording again at 5. I didn't get any sleep, and I didn't sleep on the airplane, so it's been a rough day for me. But that's okay. The vacation was great. I love to go away and cleanse my mind. I keep up with the markets by putting out my morning subscriber videos. I don't write a newsletter, though, when I'm gone, and I try not to watch the markets day in and day out. It's impossible for me not to with my app look and see what the markets are doing, but that's pretty much it. And I love to read, so I'm always up to date on the news anyways. That's a hobby, so you do what you do. The one thing that became evident to me as I was gone and not having to worry about picking up phones, what's going on, talking to the brokers, my clearing operations and everybody, was correction a bit. Not big, but a correction. You're not sitting here any longer with gold at 20,000, at 2,070. I wish it was 2,070. You're back to 1955. You're not pushing in the 130s in the Brent. You're back to 106. The dollar isn't over 100. It's at 99. The euro's not down in the 108 plus area. You're back 100 points off that number. Why? The markets are adjusting. And you may not agree with that, but you don't discount the same piece of news the same way day in and day out. The war is serious. I don't think most people thought the war would last anywhere near what it is. I personally thought Ukraine would fall in 7 or 8 days. I was so wrong. These people are phenomenal. What I did say, rightly, I said if Russia goes in and has to fight a war in the city, we saw this take place in the Middle East. They can't win that war. Everybody will go home in body bags. I never figured that the whole population of Ukraine that stays is going to be a warrior. That isn't going away. The next thing, Russia has got itself into serious financial mess. I don't care how much money Putin put away for his war chest. At some point, oligarchs galore get together and they go, look how much we're losing. I can't use my homes. I don't have my boat. I'm losing fortune here. What's this all about? And, no matter how secure Putin thinks he is, you put up $1 billion, who the heck knows that somebody doesn't take some guy out? I mean, everybody can be hit. I think that's the reality of the world, and Putin's very good at doing that. How many of the people that were adversaries of his magically got poisoned somewhere that he had nothing to do with? So you can imagine what his life is like under this right now. The court in the United Nations today went against, there was a hearing, war crimes basically, and we'll see what happens. The ruling comes out on Wednesday. And as for the rest of the marketplace, well, Wednesday's an important day, FOMC day. So the meeting begins tomorrow, and the Fed is going to decide on Wednesday to raise rates, probably a 1/4 point, maybe some words about balance sheets. But remember, the Fed has but one tool to fight inflation with. You know what it is. It is interest rates. The problem is they have to get very lucky to raise them enough to curb inflation and not put the United States in a recession. I don't know how you do it. I think it's more luck than it is skill. We'll see if they can do it, but I question that. So we're going to see interest rates, be gradually going up. It's going to put more pressure on everything. The idea is prices get up to a point with inflation where you can't afford to buy it and you can't loan or borrow money. It gets very expensive. How do you keep the economy going? And that becomes the next question. Supply chain issues around the world. They're not getting better with this war. They're getting worse, if anything. I was just reading how Ford is going to send out a bunch of its cars right now, and they'll give you a discount because the rear seats aren't going to have controls for the air conditioning and a few other areas, but a year down the road when they get those chips, you can get them installed. Got to sell the car, so that's going to be an interesting way to do it. When you take a look at the S&P, in no time at all, and this to me is what I was looking at, we come back here and let's go to the December. Here is the market at 47.58.5 on a closing basis. It's a weekly chart. And all of a sudden, did you see this coming? Okay. You're sitting here, let's call it 600 points lower in this market. Now, changing this is also the fact you're getting the banks now, like Goldman Sachs. They're no longer looking for returns in this. Now they're driving down where they think the market will bounce to by the end of the year, and that number keeps falling away. So that's something else you got to look at. When I look at the chart, I can see the clear wave to the downside, but I also see that panic wave we had right here. We have not gone back to test that out. That often gets done. So I'm finding it interesting that it didn't do it yet. The pattern in the chart left the bearishness when I was on vacation. This pattern was lower highs. Then you didn't take out this low. You made a higher low and you had lower highs. Now, if you take out the high right here, and that high was 42.89 made on March 9th, well, you get a different game. Now you got a higher high, and because it was an outside day to the downside, it's a trap play for the bulls, and the market comes down on them, and this is where you're at. Now you can capture one more time the bears with this if you take out the high right here, 43.26 tomorrow. I don't care what it does the day after. That's my rule on it. We'll see what happens. So where does this put us in moving averages? Well, I'll be darned. Where's the market keep falling from? The 18-day average of closes. Those of you that have listened to me regularly, how often do you hear me saying, well, show the Bollinger Bands? You get down, markets like to rally back to that line in the sand. That's what I label it. Look what it's been doing. It's been giving you good advice. What's the other rule over it? When you're under the 18-day average of closes, I teach one, I'll give you a rule for free in my charting course. You're never a buyer under the 18-day average. So even though the market's trying to go up, you're not looking to be a buyer. You're looking for reasons to be short because the bias is to the downside. When you put on the Bollinger Bands, what numbers it keep bouncing away from? Take the enhanced Bollinger Band course. And I'm going back to work. I'm fresh now. I came back today. My IT department gave me my outside day PowerPoints. They've printed them up and everything. They're waiting for me to record. I'm going to go at it right away. New course coming out. In the June S&P, what about momentum? Okay, so momentum keeps drifting down. We're not in a trend. The resistance is crystal clear. It's the 18-day average of closes, and support keeps showing up at the lower band, and that's where I think the pros are covering. In the NASDAQ, it's not far different. The rallies against this 18-day average have been failing. The support comes in against the Bollinger Band. When it looks the worst, it's the most dangerous place to be short underneath it. It climbs back. You get these crazy rallies. I call them the contra-trend rallies. You'll hear me talk about them. Higher lows, higher high. I think the resistance will be the 18-day average, and that doesn't mean you've changed your trend. You don't have one. You got the bias down at that point. The trend was up, and right now you don't have a trend. You have a higher high, lower low in that chart, all right? And now you've got a higher high, lower low. What number did you go to today and stop the break at? If you don't see that, I wouldn't know what to teach you then in my enhanced courses. In the micro mini Dow, and that's what I'm using now. I've given up on the mini contracts. I think these are bigger volume, easier to handle the risk. You're not getting mentally tossed around in them, and you can build positions. This is where I think the trade is gone. Higher highs, right? Now, the low here, very important to look at, was 32,694. You come up, today you drop down 32,708. So in essence, this is, I think, wrong on my part. I should still have higher lows, higher highs than that. The bias is still what? Down. The trend is up and momentum is flat. Just looking at it, I say I did that wrong, and as I said, I'm tired. In the Russell, you've got the higher high, lower low, but the battleground's so clear. I mean, I could teach this to a 13-year-old. The market is stuck in the bands and the center line, the 18-day average of closes, and it doesn't seem to want to get out of that right here. In the VIX, here's something that dawned on me. Where's the premium? If the stock market's going to crash, the VIX should be running. Now, don't get me wrong. We're no longer trading VIXs that were down here in the 14, 15, 20 area. We're back up where the VIX is now trading at 31. But that's not a 50 level, and we have seen that. This is not that high. The market's adjusted to this Ukrainian situation. The Ukraine situation is the right way to say it. That's what I'm seeing. In the T-bond market, no, I'll let somebody else want to sell this break here. I'm only looking for the lower Bollinger Band. Then I'll take another fresh look at what the chart looks like. Do you want to go through the Fed announcement? That's another thing. I teach traders, you don't go through major announcements. The whole market's looking for a quarter-point hike. They might get surprised. Maybe they get a half-point hike. I don't know what the Fed's going to say on the balance sheet, nor if I knew what they were going to say, how's the market going to react to it all? Not that good. I walk away. 10-year note, what do you do the first time you hit a lower Bollinger Band? Bye-bye. What do you do the first time you hit it on the upside? Bye-bye. You're not embedded in either of those. Dollar. Still bullish. Embedded, by the way. So I think the pullbacks in this market continue to get bought. The trick for the Fed is going to be, can they raise interest rates often enough to tame inflation and not push our economy into a recession? It can be done. It's been done. It's so difficult. I think it's more luck than it is the art of it. But that's my own opinion. In the eurocurrency, I'm still bearish, but it's too oversold to get my attention. Lower highs, lower lows. No, I'm not seeing anything there. I do think that what's going to happen is this 18-day average, if you'll notice, is already at 111.42, under 111.59.5. The market's probably going to draw the attention of short sellers against that with stops over that high. I'm not in that camp because you're oversold, but that could be what they do. British pound. If you had to ask one thing that I told my traders in a currency when I was gone, which market to be short, look at the embedded reading. What do you think I did? I've got the videos to prove it. And that's where they're at in this market at this point in time. Just because it was embedded, the rallies occurred. Okay. Now we go to Bitcoin. I'm at the June. You can see the June is not the most liquid contract, but the March is going off the board. Why don't we just look at that? And it's still in a bear camp. The resistance is still 40,592. It's had a lot of bullish news. It's getting more and more legit. It's getting the president to want to do things with it. The Fed's doing studies on it. Okay, and we know who's using it. Well, if I'm stuck in Russia, I can either take diamonds, put them in my pocket. Okay, but how do I get anything out of the country with that? Who's taking it out for me? But I can own Bitcoin. I can go in different wallets that you probably even can't find. Go on VPN networks. There's many ways to do it. And that's where wealth is probably parking itself. We then get to the energy. Now look at the difference here. Got up to around 8.25. You've given back $3 of that already. Here, pushing up here. And I remember telling this because I was getting people and they're going, what do I do here? Is it going to keep going? I go, you're over the Bollinger Band. I don't care what it does. It is screaming at you over the Bollinger Band for everything I know about trading. You're not embedded. You're probably going to get a break. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know the severity of it. I know that the risk is too big up there. Risk is everything. And market stalls out, and all of a sudden, how do you protect yourself on one day when you're down 13% in that day? You may know how to do it. I don't. But I knew enough to tell traders, you don't buy over Bollinger Bands. You'll hear me say that all the time. When I don't, slap me on the cheek. I really mean it. No, I believe that immensely. Did we have upside breakouts? My God, come on. What's an upside breakout? An upside breakout occurs when you get a pattern where the market gets over the Bollinger Band, closes in the top quadrant 2 days in a row. Here you go. And that's the kiss of death because you're going up to take everybody out. Now the trick is, where does it end? That's always the hardest part. In this case, when you took out this low, that ended it, and all of a sudden, here's the market back to the 18-day average. I can't believe it. The 18-day average, look at how it's fighting there. How often do you hear me say that's where markets go back to try to figure out the next step? Need I point it out anymore in the WTI? It's the same identical thing. When we come over to heating oil, you tell me the number the market's gone to now to fight a battle. It's right here. I don't know if it's going to get bullish or bearish from here. I know that this has wiped itself out and the market's doing this. Whew, what are we going to do next? And while I'm saying that, it's the computer systems, it's the analysts playing with it. What do we do right here? Get much under this right here, this low of 307.14. You might attract some selling, but you'd have to have a stop over the most recent high, 330. I don't know anybody that's going to risk 23 cents in heating oil. You probably do. I don't. Nat gas. Name me the price that the market's fighting the battle at. It went to the Bollinger Band, failed, pulled back, and that's what it's stuck at. So this is how I talk to my traders in the morning to a degree. But the real meat is I'm telling them, buy here, sell there, do this, do that. And I'm quite aggressive on that when I see a trade set up. Do I get wrong? It's a guarantee. I'm Mr. Swiss cheese. Do I get right? Yeah, I melt that cheese, the holes are gone, and I'm doing fine again. It's both ways. But the idea here is if you're looking for a chartist that you think might make some sense, that's what these morning videos are about. I don't want to manage your money. I manage nobody's money. What I want to do is be the guy out there that you're going, this makes sense. Here's somebody, I'm looking to be a buyer, why? Or I'm looking to be a buyer. Yes, he's agreeing, he's saying it, and here's the reasons why. Just giving you the different examples. So how do you play with this? Well, I cover 40 charts at a time. It's so simple. And all you need to do is get into the habit of taking a look at it. It's a way to go with it. So how do you find out? Go to our website, under the word research, everything is explained there. It's simple enough. You can call my staff. They'll walk you right through everything while you're on the phone. In the meantime, I'm Ira Epstein. Thanks for listening. I missed you all, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care.